Okay, we are recording. I think everything's recording now. That camera doesn't look straight, but I might just slightly tweak you that way. Perfect. Hello, I'm your host Mel Bowmans, and this is the Everyday Project. Welcome back. Thanks for returning. If you're here, I guess that means that the first episode wasn't too bad in the end, so I'll take it. I have a really great episode in store today, and I'm really looking forward to talking about this topic. It's something I'm excited to talk about, which is a nice change of pace because I think sometimes when I'm recording podcasts, I feel like for me, it's hard to work that fast. Like I want to make a good episode. So finding the balance between being able to share something that I feel passionate about at the time and excited about, and then also is thought out, like by the time I think about it and like get my thoughts out. So I'm still trying to find my balance with that because I want to be able to come here and talk about things like excitedly and be like enthusiastic and passionate about what I'm talking about. So but you're in for a good one today because I am feeling exactly those feelings. So the theme for today is I'm talking about what makes a wonderful life to me. I've just been doing a lot of thinking about my life lately. As always, that's why we're here. Part of the Everyday Project is a lot of reflection. But I've been thinking about my life and just appreciating it because it's been really awesome for most of it. I will say there's been definitely some, not necessarily lows, but just like a lot of stress in my life lately. But aside from the stress, like my life and where I'm actually at and what I'm doing and what things I've achieved and accomplished of like where I'm at right now, I feel really proud of that and happy. So yeah, it's been a fun time. I went to Vietnam 2 months ago or less now. I've had nice Christmas holidays. It's been a really nice summer, just enjoying time with friends, family, and I've kind of started living near the beach at the moment, which is really nice. So just being able to go down for a little stroll to the beach in the morning, or just having that 10 minutes from home is so nice. I think that it makes me feel like I'm on holiday, and that's been really good. And I've just had some time to start projects like the Everyday Project, and got a new job, so that's been awesome. Yeah, lots and lots have been happening, but I've been thinking about how I was feeling over the past few months, and I actually wrote an article a couple of months ago. Side note, check out my Substack at Mel Bowmans. I was reflecting on the pressure I found when I was trying to look for a new job, and I started getting curious about why I felt so much pressure about why I need a job, why I wasn't satisfied with the work I was doing in hospitality or just like my life, because I still had a lot of good things going on for me even when I didn't have a job. I felt like I had a lot of things that brought me happiness in my life, but why was I not satisfied by that was more the question, and why did I feel so much that I needed a job? So I kind of explored that a little bit, and it led me to realize that what we call success isn't neutral, it's something that's cultural, and I think that our success is defined by our surroundings, the people that we're with, and obviously how we're brought up. So I found this really interesting to think about because it started allowing me to critically analyze and understand why I was feeling this need to be doing a certain thing at a certain age, or like why I should feel like I need to move out, or I need to get a job, or I need to do XYZ in a particular order at a particular time. And I think this is something I want to explore because obviously being in your 20s, there are a lot of large milestones that I think we are expected to be doing or meeting. And I kind of want to alleviate some of that pressure from what we should or shouldn't be doing, should necessarily be doing right now. And I think I've found a way to kind of find peace with that for myself, which is a little bit about what I want to share today. I guess this episode is for anyone that feels a pressure to reach a certain milestone in life at the moment, or for anyone who wants to be more intentional with life. If you would like to find a bit more meaning and intention in your life, I think this episode will be for you. So I'm excited to spend some time exploring how success is defined differently in other cultures. also to just sit and reflect on my own experience of a wonderful life with you, because I think that hopefully how I live my life can inspire someone else. Sit back, relax, go for a walk, do whatever you like, and enjoy. So a couple of months ago, I was in the depths of job hunting. It was really terrible time. Okay, terrible is probably a little bit dramatic, but mostly I found, I was applying for jobs like for months, honestly, and I wasn't getting anything back. I was getting a lot of rejection, just a lot of silence. And that's one thing I will say about job hunting. It is a terrible process. Like, if you have been looking for a job, if you're looking for a job at the moment, currently, then I really feel for you, because it's a terrible time. That rejection compiles after a while, and it really makes you feel a bit shit about yourself. You really question yourself a lot in those periods of silence. And I think that, that rejection is not fun. So if you're going through that, I empathize with you, and I hope that you find a job soon. You will. You do just really have to put your best foot forward and just go for things, even if you're not 100% sure that it's what you want. I think that that's actually the best advice I could give is just go for it and take it as it comes, like if it's not what you want, you figure it out then. And when I was looking for jobs and I was getting rejections, I feel like, I really started questioning myself a lot, like questioning like, what am I doing in my life? Why can't I get a job? And also, really dreaded those conversations of catch-ups of like, oh, what are you doing? How's the job hunt going? Like all this kind of stuff. I really dreaded that because I didn't have an update. The same thing was happening in my life at the time. I was doing a little bit of freelance work. I was working in hospitality. I was, working at the bar. And I feel like, because I didn't have a job, I wasn't taken seriously, I guess, to an extent. It is something that comes up, like, and it's not, it is hard to not compare. It's really hard to not compare, especially when I'm in an environment where all my friends do work professionally pretty much, even though I'm very proud of my creative work in my studio and all of that and everything I do creatively. It's really hard to give yourself that validation that you get from a workplace, or like having an actual role and being able to say a title. Like, I feel like I'll never be able to, maybe I will one day, but I'll never really be able to give myself that same amount of validation I think that you can get from working in a workplace. I feel like this pressure, I think I got curious. I was like, well, hang on a minute. I kind of stopped and I was thinking of like, why do I want a job so bad? Like, what is wrong with what I'm doing right now in life? Because I keep saying there's absolutely nothing wrong with working in hospitality, and I still agree with that point. Nothing wrong with it. But for me, I don't know why I was putting so much judgment and pressure on myself for doing that when there is nothing wrong with it. Why am I talking about this? It's because I hate that there are expectations. I wonder why I feel like this, or why I feel like I don't necessarily need to do that, or I don't know. I think like there's something I can't explain about this, but what I mainly feel is that sometimes I'm like, wait, why am I actually going to work? Why do I want to work in an office and do the same thing everyone's doing? Like, I'm really blunt with the way I say things like that. But I mean, like, sometimes I do feel like I'm kind of just going along with this process that I never really signed up for. And I feel like I don't really understand why. And to me, that's really important, because this is part of what I'm going to be talking about today, but it's intentionality of like, what is my purpose, what I want to do in my life, and what makes my life a wonderful life to me. There are things that we have to do, because we have to find a way to live in this community and contribute and feel good about ourselves. And if that is through working professionally, or if that is through being in a relationship, or if that is through buying a house or moving out of home, then that makes sense. It makes perfect sense that those things contribute to what makes us feel fulfilled, because that is the culture that we have been brought up in, which is the Western culture. And I wanted to talk about what Western society's invisible roadmap to success is, because I think that is something that, whether we, or think about it or not, it is something that contributes to our opinion of what success is in life. Western society's invisible roadmap to success, as we know, it is of the expectation that you move out of home eventually. You either study or go to university, you get a job, you do all these things, and then you find a partner, you settle down, you buy a house, you have a baby. I want to preface that I am not against any of those things. And I think that they are all things that make a wonderful life as well. I think I think that's actually the overall point I'll be getting at here, is that, what makes a wonderful life is completely up to you. That is it's your decision to define what that is. I guess, sometimes I find this a damaging thing, because there is this expectation that we should do these things. And for me, in this case, it was, I should have a job. I should have a professional working job right now. A lot of the conversations when I catch up with friends are about salaries, or, looking into houses or doing these things. And I feel like I almost can't contribute to those conversations sometimes. And I feel like out of place, or I feel behind. So culturally, it is a feeling of like, if you're not kind of up with those milestones and expectations, you do feel out of place or behind. And I think then where that has a negative impact is it causes you to question your worth. It questions what your abilities are and how you fit in the world, and it can make you feel crap. And basically what I'm saying is that your environment determines so much about your happiness. And it's really important to clue into these things sometimes and just notice. I wanted to kind of alleviate some of that pressure for myself at the time. So I started writing about it. And I found through reflecting that, I don't know, I just found a lot of appreciation for my life now. Like, I was like, hang on a minute. Like, I actually have so many wonderful things in my life right now that a lot of my friends don't have. And that is freedom and flexibility. Those things, that is what I feel like, to me, makes my life really wonderful. I think it's just really important to clue into those emotions sometimes when we are feeling a particular way that we should be doing something, or we need to do something, to just notice it and just be curious about it. Like, why? Hang on a minute. Like, why am I telling myself that I need to do this or I should do this? Who's telling me that? Where is this story coming from? Because if you do clue into it, most of the time, I think almost 95% of the time, you're going to realize that it wasn't a story you told yourself. It was a story told to you through other people and through social media, through comparison, through culturally. And I think that was something that really shifted my mindset about the job hunt. Like, just being exposed to this, and this is why I love travel so much, but just exposing yourself to different people and different, I think, like, being around different people and different environments and just really culturing yourself, I think gives you the ability to see life from different angles and different perspectives, and you're able to create your own opinion better. Look, this is just my experience. This is just my experience. And again, this is just what makes me happy, because I feel like I feel empowered to have more choice or understanding of what I want in my life, and freedom to choose that, because I have that perspective. And had I not have those perspectives, I don't think I'd be able to know that, oh, it's okay that I don't have a professional job. Even though, of course, I know that. But it's like, until I went and lived with 25 backpackers who all didn't have jobs and just traveled around casually for years, it's not until that moment and being in that environment that I feel, oh, you know what? My life's fucking awesome. It's flipping the script on your story. I think that's where we get stuck. A lot of us feeling down and upset because the story we're telling ourselves, where is it coming from and who created that story? And I think it's really important to clue into that. Like I said, just noticing and just being curious about it. Noticing and being curious is so powerful. I really wanted to go to Spain, and I never understood why I wanted to go there. I just felt something. And then when I looked into this, how Southern European countries define success, like Spain, Italy, Greece, success is defined by the quality of life rather than the speed of life. There's a lot of strong relationships with family and friends. Work is important, but it's not your identity. Living near family is normal. It's not a failure. Enjoyment of life now, not just later. What's different from the Western roadmap is that, moving out late isn't something that's shameful in Southern Europe. Being behind professionally is moralized, and leisure is seen as part of a good life, not a reward for success. And I think that's something that very much resonates for me, because I feel that, in Western culture, I feel often lazy. I feel like what I'm doing is not enough. I feel, because all my friends, they're working like 38, 40-hour weeks. To me, I've said this for a while now, and I'm very proud of myself because I landed a job and I'm working a 4-day week, which I absolutely love. And I'm really grateful for, because it works for me. And I think, obviously everyone knows the 4-day working week is good for everyone. It's better for quality of life in general, and the actual workplace is more productive employees. So I don't know why it's just not a thing yet, but I'm very proud that I've gotten myself in that position, because for me, for a long time, I think I've invalidated how hard I work and the things I work on, and what I do. And I think that part of that comes from not receiving the reward of money. I think that's why, I trust my feelings. I'm like, that's why I wanted to go to Spain, because to me, leisure is a part of a good life to me. Having the time to go sit on the beach for 6 hours and do absolutely nothing but stare at the waves or watch a bird fly around, that is really important in my life. That's something that is just, it's just being. I think that there needs to be more time for us to just be human sometimes, and just, maybe I sound woo-woo or something, but honestly, I don't even care, because it's what brings me peace in my life. Yeah. So, and then in other countries, like I will talk about Latin America, because I'm actually going to be going there soon, to Argentina, which I'm really excited about. So stay tuned for that episode, because I'm sure I'll have many things to say about that when I'm back. But in Latin America, success is defined by being surrounded and not being ahead. It often includes close family ties across generations. It's emotional richness and social connection. It's a celebration of community and shared life. People in Latin American cultures can live with their family. They can have an unstable career, and they don't have to necessarily optimize everything in their life, then still seem to have a good life. And what's different about that from Western culture is that independence is less important than belonging. So I think in Western culture, we have a really big thing with hyper independence, and to be successful, you've got to do everything on your own and kind of be your own boss, like just work it all out, figure it all out. We have this culture around being really independent, and I love so much that this culture is so different to that. And one thing that I've really learned to value definitely is just community, and for a better word of that, just quality time. Yeah, and also I think that what I love about that culture is your worth isn't defined by productivity. I feel like Anna Corinne, who's the host of the Wild Geese podcast, which is another podcast I really love, and definitely check it out if you haven't, because I love her podcast. She did an episode on like how our language shapes the way we see things and feel things in life, and that was super interesting, and I'd actually love to do my own version of an episode like this or something, because I find that super fascinating too. And ever since starting to learn Spanish, that's when I started realizing how much my language affects the way I think and feel. It's an amazing book that I really want to read. Braiding Sweetgrass, the reason why we should all read that book, and I will definitely want to read it, it's next on my list, but it's a book by Robin Wall Kimmerer, and it's not about success. It's more about asking the question of, what if we've been measuring the wrong thing this whole time? And I think that's pretty much getting to the point of the crux of what my whole episode here is about, is that success isn't defined on it, is to question what we define success as for ourselves, and what, in my version of it, what we define a wonderful life as for ourselves. Because Braiding Sweetgrass is a book by Robin Wall Kimmerer, and she's a botanist who was a member of the Potawatomi Nation, which I believe is an indigenous community, and she's a science professor. So the book kind of weaves together science, indigenous knowledge, personal stories, and reflection on land. And the braiding refers to the 3 strands, which is indigenous wisdom, Western science, personal lived experience. Is a book about how to live well, not how to get ahead. It challenges the idea that more equals better. The insight kind of comes from success doesn't have to mean necessarily more is better, but it means that care and purpose is enough. So I think that's something that I've come to learn is how I want to live my life. It reframes success as a relationship, not an achievement. It's the relationship with everything, which I think is such a beautiful way to look at it. So like a good life includes respect for what sustains you, awareness of interdependence, gratitude as a daily practice. The constraints of Western success narratives prioritize independence, self sufficiency, and individual milestones. Yeah, I just want to clarify that I'm not saying that Western society's definition of success or this roadmap to success is wrong. What I am saying is that it's one way to define success. And I think what you'll find empowering is if you are someone who is feeling quote unquote behind in life, what you would find empowering is is seeing how other people live and having this perspective, because once you kind of add to that perspective, you're going to realize that what you're doing is completely right for you, or it's not right for you, and then therefore you'll understand why. Because maybe you'll also be having a professional job, maybe you also have the perfect life, maybe you have a family, a professional job, you have everything, but for some reason you're not happy. The why behind that is maybe linked to, well, what have you been measuring the whole time that's told you this is what you wanted and this is successful and this is what happiness looks like? Because yeah, I think the point of this conversation is questioning that and just trying to understand where those narratives come from, and then asking ourselves, what is the narrative I want to tell myself? What is my version of a wonderful life? And I think I will share my version of a wonderful life, because I'm sure you've all been on the edge of your seat this whole episode while I've been talking about this. Well, how do I find a wonderful life for myself? And I think that is something that I was having a lot of gratitude about the other day. I was really feeling very appreciative because I really feel that I have constructed this life for myself intentionally, and I'm really proud of where I'm at. I'm excited about what I'm working on, what I'm doing, and I feel like everything I'm doing is me. It feels aligned. I'm just really passionate about this because I think I'm really proud. Like when I think about all the decisions it's taken me to get to this point, it's taken a lot. My life has been, I think like I've definitely had some low periods, like definitely some of the lowest periods in my life in the last 2 years, definitely some of the highest stress periods in my life in the last 2 years. And I feel out of place, not out of place, but I feel behind. And I think if you're feeling that, hopefully this episode has inspired you in some way or empowered you in some way, hopefully. But I think that I was often feeling that way. And I think that's why I challenged and critically analysed these feelings, because I was curious, well, why am I feeling that way? Who told me this story? And I realised that for many years I've always thought, I don't work hard, I'm lazy, I don't really do much. But I realised that my work is my life. My work is every decision. It's everything I do. That is my work. My work is my life. It's thinking, choosing, it's discipline, it's commitment, belief, practice, learning, networking, and showing up for the things that I want. And for many years, I've been conditioned to think that work always returns in money. But I now realize that that's what I misunderstood about life, because for me, the return is not money, but it's freedom. For me, freedom is part of what makes a good life to me. And when I say freedom, I mean the flexibility and the space to enjoy quality time with people, to try new things, to learn, and to just be present and protecting those things. I just got a job this year and I told the job I wanted a 4-day work week. And that's because I'm protective of this freedom that I've built in my life. And I think that that's what gives me so much flexibility and richness in my life. It's what I'm so grateful for. And I really feel like everything I've done, like a lot of people tell me, oh, wow, you're so lucky. Your life's so adventurous. It's so fun. And I think that I love that people have this impression of my life, because a lot of the time and think that I'm living my best life, because most of the time my life is awesome and I am living my best life and I'm really happy most of the time. But I think like people think sometimes that is something that comes to me by luck, or I've just been lucky or fortunate and grown up in a good family. And of course I'm lucky. I have accessibility. I've been brought up in Australia. I have a beautiful family and friends, and I've had many opportunities come my way. That's great. And there is some luck involved in that. But I think also a lot of it is, it's not just luck, it's intention. I am intentional. That's how I choose to live my life. And I think that's what has led me to where I am today. In 2023, I got offered a job with a competitive salary and I knocked it back, even though at the time I didn't have a job. I was working in hospo. I could have taken the job, and I honestly, again, I am fortunate to be in that position where I could decline something like that, but I didn't feel the need that I wanted it so much. It was for a company that just didn't align with me. When I looked into it, I just felt like it felt very fake. It felt very not me. The salary was incredible. And looking back at it now, I'm like, how did I turn that down? That's actually insane, because the job offers I've got now and the money I'm like, I could have been making so much money in that job and I turned it down. So, I do have moments where I think back, like, what were you doing? Like, but, I do not for once regret that, because so many opportunities came up in the last 2 years that I would not have the life I have now had I taken that opportunity, and it didn't feel right. And I think that's the thing. I just go with my feelings, and I know that is so. I think there's different people in the world. There's people who choose to live rationally and there's people who choose to live intuitively. And I'm one of those people that chooses to live intuitively, which means that often I let my heart lead the way on a lot of decisions. And it means that I don't feel like, and for a lot of my life, that's what has made me feel invalidated or behind or not like I'm doing enough. Because, when I am sacrificing jobs or I am sacrificing money, I feel like I am behind everyone else. I feel a lot of shame and doubt. When I'm working on creative projects for 2 years that don't earn me a cent, do you think about the thoughts I would be having in that time? Of course I'm like, what am I doing with my life? Even my family is like, when are you going to get a job? What are you doing? And I completely agree, but that's the thing. I don't like to be rational. I like to be a little bit like, believe in the things I want and the things I want to do. And that's what fulfills me at the end of the day. And I think that those things other people can't understand, because it's your story. It's your story about what makes you happy. And I don't know. I always say, I don't know why I start a podcast, or I don't know why I do these things, but it's because that is just what I feel compelled to do. And I just go with that. And I think if there's one thing I can say, it's that I have no regrets of anything that I've done because it's something that I've wanted to do. Because if I want to do it and I've done it and it didn't work out, I did it and it doesn't matter. And I think I've always been conditioned to think, and I think that I'm overall just really proud, because I think that the lifestyle I choose to live takes a lot of courage, actually, because I think every decision and thing that I've done, and it's not just a decision, maybe it's choosing to wear a different outfit on a night out or something that's a bit weird, or maybe it's choosing to go solo to New York, or maybe it is something like, turning down a job, or it is breaking up with my 5-year relationship. I think that it takes courage to choose the life you want and stay true to yourself. And I think that I'm really proud that I've been able to do that for a lot of my life. And I had a really nice reflection the other day that I just feel really grateful for my life, really happy with where I'm at. And I think that that's a lot of that is because I feel that I have been intentional with it and I have chosen the things that I want to do. I said to myself 3 years ago, I want to be a bartender someday. Just something on my bucket list I want to do. Went out and did it. Been a bartender for a year. Tick it off. Done. I can make some cocktails now. I had a fun time bartending. I could go back to it. I could travel anywhere with it if I want. But, that was just something I wanted to do. And I did it. And I said I wanted to work on a tropical island. Went and lived in Airlie Beach. Worked at a bar by the beach. I said I wanted to go to New York. I did 2 weeks in New York on my own, and just had a really cool time, and learned a lot about myself and travel, and said I wanted to started a podcast. I feel like all these things that I've done, it's just like I've just followed my heart, and I think that to me is what makes me feel fulfilled. That to me is what defines a wonderful life, and that's my version of it. And the thing is that you have to write your own version of it, because my life and what makes my life feel good is going to be different to what makes your life feel good. I think just, when I was in the depth of job hunting and I was feeling really shit about myself and like a failure, I think it really helped me to broaden my perspective and just speak to some different people, feel empowered by that. There's so much empowerment in broadening your perspective, I think. So despite not having that job that I wanted at the time, what I really realized is that there was a lot to be grateful for. And I think that I'm happy with the consequences that I've chosen with my life. I know what that is, which is that if I want to have this flexible, rich life, I also have to accept that there's going to be times where I feel doubt about everything I'm doing, and maybe shame because I'm not where everyone else is. So I think it's about thinking about what you're willing to accept, but mostly what is going to fulfill you. And usually at the end of the day, my question is that if I think I'm going to regret it on my deathbed, then I should do it. I think it's just learning to tune into those feelings. I'm really grateful and lucky to have people that inspire me, that this kind of intuitive lifestyle exists, because I do think I surround myself with a lot of those intuitive beings out there. That to me is a pretty wonderful life. I think it's just really nice to have an episode of just appreciation on my life, because yeah, I think that is part of the reason why the Everyday Project exists as well, is it is about taking a moment, a breath of fresh air a little bit, and having a pause on life and just thinking and checking where we're at, like, hang on a minute, is this aligned? Yeah, is this what I really want, or am I just kind of following along with something? I feel most content because I've managed to stay pretty true to myself and find myself. I've managed to find myself, and now I'm realizing what makes myself happy, and now I'm realizing how to protect that and stay true to myself and on brand, for lack of a better word. On brand to myself. This whole process has been about being on brand. So maybe I'll write a book about it one day. Love you all very much. Thank you very much for tuning into this episode. I hope that there has been something inspiring, insightful, or empowering about this episode for you. And if you have found something interesting or you've enjoyed this chat, I would love your advice on how I can continue to improve this podcast. So please feel free to leave me a review or slide into my DMs, which is at theeveryday.project on Instagram. I'm also trying to get on YouTube, so at everyday.project. I'm also on Substack if you want to find me there at Mel Bowmans. So yeah, thanks for being here. Love you all. Have a great evening, and don't forget to quiet the noise and romanticize your life. I'm your host, Mel Bowmans, and I will see you next time on The Everyday Project.